Live from Cool Boys Central.
You're the boss down there. I'm boss up here.
From bat tips to bat nips, we are just cool boys revisiting Batman, the animated series, and wearing hats. This is Batman and Beyond, a Cool Boys podcast.
I see Batman and Beyond.
Greetings, Cool Boy Bat Nation! And welcome, Steve. Do you like that? See, that's called energy, Steve. That's to bring the energy so the audience comes in popping. Okay?
Yeah.
All right? And welcome to another installment of Batman and Beyond.
Woo-woo!
A Cool Boys podcast. I'm Ballard, and I'm a retired pizza delivery driver. And this is my best friend, Steve. He's a top-notch big city lawyer. Say hi, Steve.
Just one day I met you because you came to my house delivering pizzas, and I was like, you look like a nice guy.
That's right, Steve.
All right. Well.
Say So cool.
Very cool.
Tonight's episode is Zatanna. Or, as Bruce would say, Zana.
It was funny, though, that they only knew each other for like 3 months. Like, that's like a short amount of time for such a lasting relationship or memory, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's like such an adolescent, way of thinking of young love. You fall in love for 3 months and you remember him forever.
Steve, that was fucking incredibly insightful, man. Dude, that is awesome. I don't even know what to say to that. It was beautiful. Beautifully said. Could not have said it better myself.
I hate you.
This week's episode was directed by Dick Seabass and... What? Dan Reba.
Oh, are you excited about Dan Reba?
Well, Steve, why are there 2 directors on this episode of Batman the Animated Series?
Maybe Dick Seabass left?
Steve,
Uh-huh.
you are right.
Wow.
So the little tiny bit of information that I've been able to find about this fucking episode is from dcau.fandom.com. I guess it's like a fandom website. And it says, as a note, under production notes, this is the only episode with 2 directors as Dan Reba took over after Dick Seabass' departure. Dick Seabass just won an Emmy right before this for Robin's Reckoning Part 1. So, is it possible that this guy got, maybe his ego inflated and it was just like, I'm too big for this 4:30 p.m. show. Fuck this. I'm going to move on to bigger and brighter things.
Let's see. Have you pulled up his IMDb or something?
Well, it doesn't seem like he moved on to too much bigger and brighter things, because I think this show ended up being, the huge powerhouse it was, and the influential television animated series that it was.
Don't know that while they're working on it,
That's true, of course. I'm sure he went on to become, paid better. Like, that probably did happen.
See.
He probably makes more money now, or made more money then.
So after Batman the Animated Series, he did Sonic the Hedgehog TV series.
I briefly remember that. Very briefly. That was a Saturday morning cartoon.
He was the main title storyboard artist. And then there he did Spider-Man, the TV series.
Yeah, I can see that.
He did an episode of The Tick, it says. Interesting.
One episode of The Tick, he left Batman. But why did he leave halfway through the episode that Dan Reba had to finish it? How come he couldn't finish his episode? That doesn't sound like someone who quit.
Yeah, well, it sounds like someone.
It sounds like someone that was fired, or someone that quit because they're about to be fired.
And he did the Incredible Hulk.
The TV show, the cartoon.
The TV series. The
cartoon. And just so you're clear, if you do not remember the Incredible Hulk cartoon, it's horrible.
I thought it was okay.
No, okay. Iron Man wasn't that bad. Fantastic Four was not that bad. Incredible Hulk was horrible.
Ah.
X-Men was obviously the best, and Spider-Man was right below X-Men.
The Tick was great. I liked Spider-Man.
Yeah, the Tick
too.
wasn't Marvel, but yeah, the Tick was great.
I thought the Spider-Man series, it got convoluted when it went all throughout the
Spider-Man
Spider-Verse.
series. Okay, so what Marvel did with the animated series really, really well, at least if I really recall it with Spider-Man and with X-Men, I briefly remember Iron Man, and I very briefly remember Fantastic Four and the Incredible Hulk. I don't remember arcs of episodes, but Spider-Man and X-Men had huge arcs, massive.
They followed.
It was a serial. They were
comic
legitimate
books.
serials.
They
Yeah.
they basically did a lot of things where they just retold the comics in
Yeah.
a kid fashion. But
In a kid fashion, yeah, that's right, yeah.
they did a good
But
job.
you also got some of the best tellings of things. You got the best
Phoenix
storytelling
story,
of the Dark Phoenix.
Oh, for
and,
sure.
Or the Phoenix Saga and the Dark Phoenix Saga. I mean, you got them both, really. You get a great telling of the Venom Saga and Spider-Man.
Another podcast, we could watch those and go through those. I'm game. But after Incredible Hulk, he went on to do X-Men Evolution, Ultimate Avengers, and then The Adventures of Brer Rabbit, and The Fox and the Hound 2.
Fox and the Hound 2, big shit.
Mhm.
Wow. That's a big movie. That was a big movie. It was huge.
2006.
Oh my god, that's the era people were clamoring for more Fox and the Hound.
That
for
was
sure.
when you stopped. That was his last thing.
Yeah, well, good. YOLO, that's what I like to say. YOLO.
Is that what you like to say?
After what happened last week, absolutely, yes.
Cool.
Yeah, Cool Boy Nation, just want to say everything's looking better now. For all of those that wrote in concerned, sent me your well wishes while I was in the hospital, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yes, last week ended a little intense, and Steve rushed me immediately to the hospital, and I had my stomach pumped. Apparently, continuing to take more and more pills on air was not a good idea. But now I am sobered up. I'm 100% sober up. It's been about 7 days almost. And I'm sober. I am now sober. I'm fully 100% sober. So yeah, all those that you care and are interested, I really appreciate all the cards and all the flowers. But yeah, it's worked, and I am now sober. So I really appreciate it, everybody. Thank you so much. And I'm living my best life now.
Good for
okay?
you. I'm all proud of you being sober.
Absolutely.
That's a good thing.
You should be.
Yeah, great. Good job.
It's
Anyways,
a good
moving on.
thing.
Okay.
It's a good thing.
This is the episode. Zatanna.
Oh, we're still technically in the Wikipedia says. So guess who wrote this episode, Cool Boy Nation? Paul Dini. It came out on February 2nd, 1993, and the villain this week is Montague Kane. Wikipedia says when the glamorous magician Zatanna is framed for robbery during her act, Batman swings to her defense. He also breaks her out of prison, kind of. Zatanna is grateful.
What do you mean, kind of? He totally does.
Well, he breaks her out of a prison car or whatever,
On her way to prison.
On her way to prison, yeah. She wasn't in prison yet, quote unquote. Zatanna is grateful and gives up the puss, though a little puzzled by the Dark Knight's commitment to prove her innocence. But the two heroes unite and use the skills her father, Zatanna, taught them to expose and combat the culprit, an evil illusionist named Montague Kane. There's some issues here with Montague Kane. We can get into that in a little bit. But he does not make sense to me as a character in general.
Yeah, it was a weird villain. I just was curious how old Zatanna was when she first met Bruce. Because Bruce definitely looks really young. So he looks like he's probably, 18, 15 or something like that. What do you think?
I don't know. They both look like they're hard body, that's for sure. So, definitely old teenagers. So yeah, you're looking at somewhere between 17 and 21 for both of them, I would say.
And then but they were saying it's 10 or 12 years since they last saw each other.
Right.
So,
well, Batman in his early years is supposed to be young 30s.
In his 30s now? Is that what he's...
So yeah, so he's probably 22 when he was training with Zatanna, and she was 18. So everything's legal.
I wasn't worried about that. I was just wondering.
Seemed like you're a little bit worried about that. I would be worried about that because speaking about the sepia tone flashback that you are, Steve, Zatanna or Zana is essentially running around the entire sepia tone flashback with the largest fucking camel toe I've ever seen.
Well,
I mean, her vagina is practically on display.
I didn't notice, so I guess I'll have to give it a look-see. I know that her outfit for the opening number shows lots of legs.
Shows lots of legs, and it also shows her moundy, which is kind of nice.
To say the least.
There's even weird shots later in the episode where they linger on a close-up of her vagina for maybe 2 beats, almost 2 seconds. It's a little awkward, and it's kind of absolutely ridiculous for her character to be wearing this kind of outfit, apparently, but they don't seem to care back then. Whatever. Let her look hot as fuck and not ever once put on pants throughout the rest of the episode.
Mm-hmm. That's her superhero outfit.
It is, except I think her superhero outfit, she has, I think some iterations have black leather pants, and then there's fishnet leggings or stockings or whatever. I think is another version of her character in comics. She's not really like her comic character. This is a very different kind of version of Zatanna, or a very toned down version of Zatanna. She doesn't do any of her backward spells, and they don't really allude that she's full on magic until the very, very end, maybe. But what I did like is watching her opening, the opening of this episode when you see her magic act for the crowd. I would literally be sitting there. I'd be like, "That's fucking magic." I'd be like, "What? How the fuck did she do all that? How did she do all that? It's crazy."
I think she gets more magical as her character progresses.
There's a point where it stops, and then all of a sudden it's the very last thing in the episode. She just busts out some magic, and it's "Hey, I hate saying goodbye too. Peace." Boop, and then she's just out.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was I think that was the most clear, obvious. And then Zatara makes a mention, especially right here when we're watching this flashback, when he's got his arm around Bruce and he's talking to him about having to move on. I think he says, "Bruce, you're moving on," or no, John Smith, "You're moving on." He does say that he's taught him things that he's taught no one else. Stuff that we later will assume that he taught Zatanna, but that also means that Bruce has a cursory knowledge of the mystic arts.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of interesting. I mean, they don't go
I just
anywhere
thought
with
that. It meant that he learned escape stuff that he hadn't taught anybody. I didn't think it was mystic stuff.
Well, Zatara is mystic, so I make that kind of assumption. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, there is never I don't recall. Maybe there is, but I cannot recall a direct reference to Bruce having learned magic ever again in the series. And that goes for even Justice League, when there would be moments with what's his name, Dr. Fate.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, but he does talk to Zatanna right now, and he literally says, I'm leaving. Or no, I think she says you're leaving for Japan. And so there is that connection that this is the moment right before Night of the Ninjas flashback.
Mm-hmm. It's connecting how he basically learned what his skills. So he went on this tour of the world, kind of like we were talking about earlier, in the Samurai Jack sense, where he just kind of went to all these different masters and learned from the best. So absolutely,
I definitely can connect with that now too, especially I'm the whole feeling that I'm better than you kind of thing. 'Cause I'm better than you now. I feel that way,
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. But so he was only there for 3 months though, so that's a really, really short period of time for him to also learn all that stuff, and then also for her to fall in love with him, or him to have this lasting impression.
I don't think it's a short period of time. I think people with their mind to it can do anything really quickly. I think if somebody wants to get sober in 7 days, they can get sober in 7 days. Whatever. They fucking
nothing.
find God and they can do it. Higher power and
Trust
all that
me,
shit.
buddy. You're not going to be sober on day 10.
Let go and let God.
I'm just gonna ignore your high and
Steve,
mightiness,
my worst
'cause
day
I don't
sober
want you-
is better than my best day dexing. Okay?
Dexing. All right, I get it. I'm sorry. I'm belittling you.
And I understand kind of what Bruce is going through. Like, it is possible to do. I mean, everyone says, oh, you can't get sober in 6 days. I proved you wrong. Okay? I proved you all wrong. I did it.
So yeah, what's your opinion on the villain on this guy?
Montague Kane doesn't make a lick of fucking sense for this episode at all. I don't understand. So he's a guy who's been apparently going around
Debunking.
just fucking revealing magician secrets, right? That's it. That's the guy's job, right? Okay, there was a guy on Fox a long time ago,
The Mask.
right, who was doing essentially the same thing with a mask on.
Mm-hmm.
And he eventually revealed himself, and everyone was like, Who are you? Like, no one still knew who he was. He's supposed to be some, like, big-time magician or illusionist. Anyways, so Montague Kane, same thing. He's just that guy. He's just the guy that goes around fucking revealing magician secrets, and somehow he's amassed a major fortune. Such a fucking large fortune that he has an incredible estate with a mansion on it.
The airplane carrier.
He has a Spruce Goose type of aircraft.
That thing was like amazing. Like he could have a.
It had a fucking like Michelin star restaurant on it.
They were able to like the wings on that thing. Like they were able to fight and go. You know, I don't know. I was amazed at how huge this airplane was.
So he's getting all this money. He's either born wealthy, right? Or he's so fucking rich from revealing all these magician secrets around the world that he's amassed this massive fortune.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Why the fuck would he care about like $100,000 from the Gotham Mint when he has this much money already?
It was like $5 million or something, was it? I thought it was like $10 billion or something.
What was that? What was it?
Yeah.
Was it okay? Okay, so wait, come on. Who gives a shit about that much money when you're building Spruce fucking Goose fucking aircraft? That's insane. It literally just does not make. It's $10 million. It was $10 million in cash. He has way more than $10 million. $10 million for him is gas on that fucking giant aircraft that he's flying around.
And it was like on autopilot at some point because they all go in there for him to like, you know. So at some point there was no real actual pilot. It was really strange.
It's state of the art for '93, and he also, just to be clear, he has fucking state of the art traps in his fucking estate mansion as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know why he's bothering himself with $10 million. I don't understand why, if he's this loaded, why he needs to run to a fucking country for, you know, that doesn't have extradition laws and shit like that. It just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. There is a moment, though, we're in the second act now, where Batman has Zatanna in the car, and he's asking her, you know, if she needs to alert anybody, if she's okay.
Primed.
And he's just like, you sure that, and she's like, no, you don't need to tell anybody. Yeah, and he's just like, you sure there's no one you want to call first? Friends? Family? A husband, maybe? Ow, Batman!
Yeah, he's interested, you know.
He's ready to go back to that fucking old fucking playground and go play around again.
He reveals himself later on. He tells her by calling her Zatanna or whatever, the only person that calls her Zatanna.
Yeah, but he doesn't reveal he's Bruce Wayne. He just reveals that John Smith and Batman are the same person.
Yeah.
So unless Zatanna picked up on John Smith as Bruce Wayne, then, like, yeah, she can easily...
He's a pretty well-known person, I think, in this.
Yeah, but back, like, 10, 12 years ago when they, like, first, you know, met, was he well-known then? Probably not.
The son of murdered parents and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, no one knows that. I couldn't tell you any sons of murdered parents around here.
Who are billionaires.
Definitely not billionaires.
We don't know any because it hasn't happened.
Or maybe it has. You just don't know. Steve, I have a question for you we can talk about this episode before we get into our boys.
All right.
How about this, actually? Let's do our boys first. I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 boys. I liked it a lot.
I'm going to give it 3.
Really? You kind of found it slightly under paging the crime doctor.
I mean, for all the stuff that we just criticized, it was like this boring, like I was bored by it. I fell asleep it was not one that I found interesting.
Well, I enjoyed the camel toe and the moundy. So I think maybe that kept me entertained. But I liked the kind of the straight arrow and the
there I
little
saw
bit of
this
backstory.
close up.
What? You saw the close
Yeah,
up?
I saw a close up.
Dude, it just sits there for way too long. There's no reason to sit on her vagina that long, but it does.
Well, you know.
Anyways, I liked it. I thought it was fun. I mean, yeah, I think I like that it's more world building for Batman, and that it is such a straight, real fast-paced episode. I mean, the whole episode takes place in essentially almost real time. I mean, it's obviously not, but it's like maybe over the course of like 2 hours, like this whole episode goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty cool. I like that. But I also really like that. Yeah, you got that flashback. You got a little bit more story to Bruce, and it's something I really wish we did get more of. And as we talked about, I think in Night of the Ninja, it's something that I think we talked about it in Robin's Reckoning, but it was something that Bruce Timm and like Paul Dini wish they could have done more of for Robin, and I kind of also really wish they could have done more with Batman.
Yeah, I wish that I was hoping that they would have more actually about his training.
Yeah, it's only one flashback in the beginning.
It's very quick.
And that's it. And you kind of have that feeling that it's not a flashback necessarily just to set up a character like Zatanna, but that there's like something to be divulged because of it, and that never happens. So it does kind of feel like it doesn't go anywhere almost.
Yeah.
Because of that. Mm-hmm. But I really did like it. All right, so I gave it 4 out of 5. You gave it 3 out of 5. But I have a question for you, Steve, and this question ties back a few episodes ago to Off Balance. So let's review a few of our past episodes. Has Ra's al Ghul been watching Batman? I personally feel that when we go to, like, say, the episode right after Off Balance, in which Ra's, we think, was started his watching and monitoring of the greatest detective, right? I don't think the man who killed Batman was probably one Ra's was watching. Mudslide, maybe. Paging the Crime Doctor, maybe not. But I thought Zatanna was absolutely an episode that Ra's would have been watching this. And maybe he had... Do you think there's any way that he was maybe influencing Montague Kane?
Possibly. There's some actual... I was looking over this episode, and there was some mention that I guess the Montague Kane refers to Batman as detective, and that's the same thing that Ra's al Ghul
always calls him that.
him. And so that
Ra's
there's some connection basically there.
So that's interesting, right? He does actually say that. So, that could be a connection. I kind of was almost wondering if the fact that Montague Kane is this, world traveler,
he's part of the
to
league
find,
or whatever.
magician secrets, that maybe he has some connection to Ra's because of that alone, right? Like Ra's kind of gives him hints to the otherworldly stuff, the mystic arts and things. So he kind of maybe knows where to look for the secrets, quote unquote. And maybe when he finds real magicians, he does something with them for Ra's, and that's why he's funded so well. Because he takes out potential usurpers of the throne, if you will, for Raz's throne, right? The throne that he wants Batman or Bruce Wayne to take over someday.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think Paging the Crime Doctor really lent itself with Rupert Thorne needing surgery to be something that Ra's was using to test Batman. I think Mudslide doesn't necessarily need to be that too, because it doesn't really make sense. But maybe it's something like he was watching during those moments. But I definitely felt like this episode was the first episode I was like, maybe Ra's was watching this one.
Maybe.
Cool.
YOLO.
Cool.
All right.
Well, Cool Boy Nation, thank you for listening. Tune in next week. Same Cool Bat time, same Cool Bat channel. Cool Boy Bat Nation, be sure to let us bat know what you bat thought of Zatanna, or what your favorite Bat episode is by bat emailing us at batmanandbeyondcoolboys@gmail.com. New episodes come out every Tuesday. Also, check out our other great Cool Boys Central content with the Cool Boys Podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Patreon. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Cool Boys and review us on iTunes. Also, donate to us on Patreon. It only costs $1 and you will receive special access to content too hot to air. You can find the Cool Boys on Patreon at www.patreon.com/coolboyspodcast. Thank you for listening. Stay cool, Cool Boy Bat Nation. Until next time, it's Byzies from Ballard.
Bye from Steve.
So cool.
Batman
And beyond.
Oh, yeah.
Batman
and beyond.